Mountain preferred to gather in groups. In less than 2 days, Ji Ruo and his companions had already encountered their third wave of social creatures. Ji Ruo, quickly throw away that little stick. Look at the mess you've caused. Liang Shixian bellowed. This isn't my fault. Who knew that web was spun by nine-eyed demon spiders? If I had known, I would have run away halfway through. Liang Shixian yelled back, is that really the point? Zhang Quan and Lu Neng remained silent, their expressions grim, as if they were running for their lives. Lacking the energy to speak, they felt as though they had run the entire distance this year in just 2 days. They had initially been jumping among the trees without any danger, but when Ji Ruo spotted a patch of spider webs, he excitedly approached with his stick to poke at them. Then the horde of nine-eyed demon spiders emerged, each as large as a watermelon. Their appearance is terrifying and relentless in pursuit. A third, Ji Ruo shouted hesitantly. Liang Shixian nearly spat blood. Don't you realize where you went wrong? I get it now. Next time, I'll use iron sand palm and set those spider webs ablaze. Could you please not worry about the spider webs for once? Liang Shixian rolled his eyes in exasperation. Ji Ruo continually used absolute direction sense to correct their course, although each adjustment yielded only a 5 improvement. The cumulative effect was still noticeable. Safety, 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 Ji Ruo fervently thought. This way, follow me. Fortunately, the nine-eyed demon spiders did not move at an outrageous speed, and the four maintained a distance of over 10 meters from the pursuing beasts, avoiding the effects of the slowing gaze. Moments later, Ji Ruo shouted, "There's a cave. It should be safe. Let us hurry inside." Absolute direction sense subtly directed him toward the cave. What if it's a dead end? Liang Shixian's words were cut short as Ji Ruo dashed into the cave. Entering the cave was clearly not the wisest choice with the horde of spiders in pursuit. But since Ji Ruo had already rushed in, they had no choice. Liang Shixian gritted his teeth. Keep up. The others quickly followed him into the cave. Upon entering, one is greeted by a cave adorned with a myriad of spider webs, the familiar sensation reminiscent of the patch previously disturbed by Ji Ruo with a small stick. In the darkness, an uncountable number of crimson eyes fixate upon the group, sending a chill down their spines. Liang Shixian despondently muses, my fate is sealed. Meanwhile, at the forefront, Ji Ruo has already raised his crimson palm and struck forcefully upon the largest expanse of spider web within the cave. Taste my iron sand palm. With a whoosh, the intense heat from the iron sand palm ignites the highly flammable web, causing flames to spread rapidly, transforming the cave into a sea of fire. Stay behind me, Ji Ruo commands, drawing his sword and positioning the blades against each other, aimed at the interior of the cavern, spinning rapidly. Behold my wind machine. Yet, the gusts produced do little to affect the flames, for Ji Ruo is merely a 6th-level martial artist, not capable of generating much force. In truth, the youth aimed to trigger an achievement, yet it did not occur. Nevertheless, the nine-eyed demon spiders hesitated, retreating further away, inheriting the scholarly traits of his previous self. Ji Ruo understands that these creatures harbor a fear of fire. The webs grow denser deeper within the cave, hence the flames are directed inward. Ji Ruo's command to remain behind him is somewhat moot. Their current predicament is dire. Behind them lurked several nine-eyed demon spiders, while before them roars a torrent of flames, and beyond that, an unknown multitude of nine-eyed demon spiders. At first glance, it appears to be an insurmountable deadlock. Although the spiders behind them are deterred by the flames, they do not flee. They maintain a cautious distance as the fire spreads deeper into the cave, compelling Ji Ruo and his companions to venture further into the inferno, while the remaining spiders retreat in a frenzy. With no alternative, the other 3 follow Ji Ruo into the abyss. The spiders have fully blocked their escape route, and once the webs are consumed, regardless of whether the spiders ahead perish, Ji Ruo and his companions face inevitable doom. The 9th-level martial artist nine-eyed demon spiders possess physical prowess and toxic capabilities far beyond the capacity of mere 6th-level students to withstand. Yet, Ji Ruo remains remarkably calm, for he possesses an unwavering sense of direction. After numerous inquiries and adjustments, he has ascertained that this cave is indeed their path to survival. Suddenly, a heavy thud reverberates, intermingling with the bizarre sounds of burning webs and the terrified shrieks of the nine-eyed demon spiders. Ji Ruo, with keen eyes, spots a large silk cocoon at the center of the recently scorched web above. The sound of the heavy object falling originates from the destruction of the cocoon, where a human figure has plummeted to the ground. It is a female, unconscious, as indicated by her hair and physique. Ji Ruo hastens forward, seizing her collar and flipping her over. Her features are striking, though her complexion bears a slight purplish tint, clearly indicating poisoning. She wears a proctor's badge. A proctor martial artist? Ji Ruo delivers a resounding slap to the beautiful yet unconscious warrior, instantly swelling one side of her face and knocking out two of her teeth. Teacher, wake up, don't sleep. We need help. Compassion for the fairer sex? Not in this instance. If this proctor does not awaken, they will all perish here today. I'll just hide and seek. This proctor must be gravely poisoned. Her body slackened to the point where Ji Ruo's full-force slap could dislodge her teeth. Fortunately, the outcome is favorable. The proctor stirs awake, albeit with a hint of confusion in her eyes. Ji Ruo catches a glimpse of her name, Li Nannan, from the proctor's badge. A frown creases his brow, intuition suggesting that something has gone awry in the martial examination, as this proctor has evidently been captured by the nine-eyed demon spiders and stored as food within the cave. However, the specifics elude him, and now is not the time for contemplation. Teacher, we are candidates for this martial examination. And this is the lair of the nine-eyed demon spiders. They activated the rescue device. Ji Ruo quickly summarizes the situation. Though Li Nannan is poisoned, she is still a martial artist of the Qi Pulse realm and soon recollects the preceding events. She grips Ji Ruo's arm urgently, exclaiming, "We must leave. The cave is rife with nine-eyed demon spiders that have evolved into the king of spiders, possessing strength comparable to the pinnacle of the Qi Pulse realm." Before she can finish, Li Nannan is momentarily taken aback, due to her missing teeth and the paralyzing toxin from the nine-eyed demon spiders still coursing through her. Her words stumble. Moreover, she observes the webs ablaze, fierce flames continuing to encroach deeper into the cave, with ashes drifting from the charred remnants. This lair possesses little flammable material. Once burned, it is irrevocably consumed. With the acute eyesight characteristic of a Qi Pulse martial artist, Li Nannan can see deep within the cave, where the Spider Queen that previously defeated her is roaring in rage behind the flames. Ji Ruo nods seriously, I understand. We just need you to lead us out. The remaining three are still reeling from Ji Ruo's powerful slap, astonished. Fight our way out. Li Nannan is momentarily stunned. She is injured and heavily poisoned. Though not fatal, she is no match for that horde of nine-eyed demon spiders. Yet, she soon notices that the dozen or so nine-eyed demon spiders pursuing them are merely at the level of ninth-level martial artists. They can be defeated. All right, follow me. Li Nannan rises, shaking off the lingering dizziness, and charges towards the swarm of nine-eyed demon spiders. In the process, she deftly draws Ji Ruo's machete. Ji Ruo and the others can only watch in awe as the blade flashes with a faint golden red hue mixed with silvery light, swiftly dispatching the obstructing nine-eyed demon spiders with remarkable finesse. The Qi Pulse realm truly represents a genuine martial artist, with attributes surpassing the limits of human capability. Li Nannan's brief combat is nothing short of spectacular. The only critique is perhaps her failure to announce her technique during the engagement. Let us go. As Li Nannan moves, her energy surges, the toxins circulating with her blood, causing her body to sway precariously. Unable to contain herself, she coughs up a mouthful of foul-smelling, purplish blood. Yet she still manages to call back to her students, urging them to flee quickly. Unbeknownst to her, these four candidates have been fleeing for 2 days and have already gained experience. As Li Nannan charges forward, Ji Ruo instinctively follows suit. When Li Nannan glances back, she sees Ji Ruo racing past her. Ji Ruo politely shouts, "Thank you, teacher." The others echo in unison, "Thank you, teacher. Thank you, teacher." Li Nannan is momentarily taken aback. Ji Ruo and his companions have only learned basic movement techniques, their speed in flight painfully slow compared to the Qi Pulse martial artist. Yet Li Nannan cannot keep pace with them. She senses her own condition, hears the cacophony of the nine-eyed demon spiders behind them, and bitterly smiles, forcing herself to shout, "Do not look back. Unforeseen changes have occurred in the Beast Mountain secret realm. Be cautious and do not worry about me." Though forcibly awakened, she can barely muster the strength to combat the dozen or so nine-eyed demon spiders blocking their path. At this moment, she has opened a path for her students, and her spirit momentarily relaxes, only to be overwhelmed by a wave of dizziness. She cannot escape. All she can do is allow her students to flee, lamenting her inability to fulfill her duties as a proctor martial artist. Leading the way, Ji Ruo pauses slightly upon hearing her words, almost without thought. He turns back and hefts Li Nan Nan, who intends to fight with the last remnants of her consciousness to cover their retreat. Why does everyone insist on being the rear guard? Li Nan Nan, hindered by the poison, is momentarily stunned by the sudden reversal of her situation. What are you doing back here? She cries out urgently. You are still young. It is my duty as a proctor martial artist to protect you. I can die, but you cannot. Take me with you. None of us can escape. Jiruo spoke in a low voice. Teacher, my dagger is still in your hand. I have returned to retrieve it. Linan pondered this for a moment. The other three had grown accustomed to fleeing. Zhang Quan and Lu Neng understood their own ineffectiveness. And as they ran, they did so without hesitation, knowing that remaining behind would merely hinder Zhao and the others. Liang Shixian slightly slowed his pace, glancing back to see Zhao carrying Linan out, and he breathed a sigh of relief before quickening his steps once more. Jiruo, where do we run now? Liang Shixian called out, the howling wind and their heavy breaths necessitating loud voices amidst their frantic flight. Jiruo, after a brief contemplation, suddenly turned and dashed towards the left woods, exclaiming, this way. Liang Shixian hesitated, but that's a swamp, and there are, in truth, the initial pursuers. The nine-eyed demon spiders, numbered more than 20. In their escape, they had passed the swamp's edge, where several thick tentacles had emerged, snatching some of the nine-eyed demon spiders into its depths. It was thus that Jiruo and the others learned of the swamp's existence. Thankfully, Jiruo had been employing his absolute sense of direction to seek a safe route, enabling them to avoid the swamp beforehand. Otherwise, they would have perished long ago. Trust me, Jiruo cried out as he surged ahead towards the swamp's vicinity. Linan, already in a daze, could not be considered in Jiruo's reckoning as he ran wildly. The violent jolting caused the poison-ridden martial artist to vomit foul, toxic bile. Jiruo paid no heed. They would all be dirty soon enough. 2 minutes later, Jiruo felt a sudden heaviness, as if the air had thickened into a viscous substance, drastically reducing his speed. Slowing down, Liang Shixian exclaimed, equally alarmed. They were all affected. The nine-eyed demon spiders had emerged in pursuit. Jiruo instinctively glanced back, seeing no sign of the swarm within at least 10 meters. Thus, what had followed was not mere nine-eyed demon spiders, but the spider queen that Linan had mentioned. The sudden weight caused Lu Neng to stumble and fall. Yet, the fierce instinct for survival compelled him to rise amidst the pain, though his speed diminished as fatigue set in. He could not help but cry out, we can't escape. We won't make it. Shut up. Keep running. Jiruo bellowed. The swamp lay ahead, now visible in the distance. It was not vast, with a shallow surface shimmering under the light. The surrounding vegetation appeared peculiar, reminiscent of a horror film set. Scattered around were the skeletal remains of unknown creatures, their bones caked in dried mud, revealing fine cracks. Through gritted teeth, Jiruo bore Linan to the swamp's edge and suddenly threw him down, causing the already semi-conscious Linan to roll in the muck. The swamp's center began to swell, as if something were attempting to breach the surface, albeit slowly. Quick! Roll over here, Jiruo shouted. The others, bewildered, did not understand his command, but the angry roars behind them urged them into action. In a flurry, they slid to the swamp's edge, rolling in the mud. In an instant, they were transformed into mud-covered figures. Don't move, don't speak, hold your breath. Have you ever played hide-and-seek? Jiruo lay back in the muck, applying his camouflage skill to each of them, then forced himself to cease panting, feeling slightly dizzy from lack of oxygen as he waited in silence. This skill, usable on others, enhanced disguise effects by 40%. Jiruo was uncertain if it could deceive the Spider Queen, but it was their last resort. The group dared not move, holding their breaths, their hearts pounding like drums after the abrupt halt from intense exertion. Linan's breathing had weakened, and he had succumbed to unconsciousness. At that moment, the creature from the swamp finally surfaced, its thick tentacles now tinged with a faint purplish hue. They swayed slightly, as if intoxicated, evidently affected by the venom of the nine-eyed demon spiders it had previously ensnared. The group stared, wide-eyed, too terrified to stir, fearing the tentacles would detect them and drag them under. Yet those thick appendages seemed oblivious to their presence, swaying aimlessly, seemingly disoriented. Suddenly, the enraged Spider Queen arrived. It was time to see if the camouflage skill would prove effective and if they could divert its rage. The Spider Queen was colossal, nearly 3 meters from head to rear, with fearsome, sharp legs creating deep craters in the ground as it moved. Its body bore numerous charred marks, and its 9 blood-red eyes twisted in fury, its mandibles snapping open and closed, shrieking in rage. It was apparent that Jiruo's fiery assault had decimated many nine-eyed demon spiders. These creatures had a well-founded fear of fire, as their silk was highly flammable, igniting uncontrollably upon contact with flames. The Spider Queen appeared to have forced its way through flames, chasing Jiruo and the others, driven by the heavy losses of its offspring, which had pushed it to the brink of madness. The cave's webbing was dense, the flames ravenous. Even the lower-tier, nine-eyed demon spiders likely perished in the inferno, and the spider eggs would have suffered a similar fate. Lying in the muck, Jiruo analyzed the situation. The Spider Queen had reached the swamp's edge, standing right beside them. Yet it failed to detect their presence. They had concealed themselves so effectively that they seemed to meld into their surroundings. In the swamp's center, the swaying tentacles appeared perplexed, seemingly puzzled by the residual vibrations they had sensed. Perhaps the venom had dulled the creature's reactions. The furious Spider Queen, unable to locate Jiruo and his companions, sensed the lingering essence of its progeny upon those tentacles. Upon noticing the faint purplish tint, it became clear that several of its young had become prey. Were it any other time, the Spider Queen might have remained indifferent. However, with its offspring suffering heavy casualties, its wrath was ignited. With a furious hiss, it released a cry that nearly compelled Jiruo to cover his ears. Fortunately, he managed to restrain himself. The Spider Queen leaped high, spinning midair, releasing a deep purple webbing that quickly enveloped the expanse of the swamp. Jiruo, lying in the muck, widened his eyes, internally lamenting. This can't even distinguish male from female. In the next moment, resilient strands of silk descended, ensnaring the probing tentacles, and with a roar from the Spider Queen, the thick purple threads constricted, forcibly dragging a plump catfish from the swamp. Those thick appendages were the fish's whiskers. As it was pulled out, the catfish's eyes appeared dazed, perhaps intentionally intoxicated by the venom, for to it, the toxin of the nine-eyed demon spiders was akin to a heady wine. The Spider Queen, indifferent to the chaos around her, let out a shriek as her web ensnared the plump catfish, lifting it into the air. With a vicious snap of her mandibles, she sank her fangs into the catfish's flesh. The catfish, its eyes glazed with confusion, gazed at the Spider Queen as if struggling to comprehend the situation. Perhaps its excessive girth dulled its senses, for it felt little pain from the bite. The Spider Queen's 9 crimson eyes glinted with malice as she injected her venom. The sound was reminiscent of a soda can being opened, and corrosive poison quickly eroded a gaping hole in the catfish's body. The excruciating agony finally jolted the catfish to awareness, prompting it to roar in fury and retaliate. Thus, the two formidable beasts clashed amidst the web. Though the catfish was suspended in midair, it seemed to hold an advantage over the Spider Queen. Liang Shixian had initially closed his eyes, resigned to his fate. But the anticipated agony never arrived. Instead, he heard the sounds of anger and struggle. Curiosity piqued. He cautiously opened his eyes to witness the fierce battle above. He was momentarily dumbfounded. Jiruo? He dared not move, uncertain of his companion's fates, and tentatively whispered, "Shoo, you can't speak during hide-and-seek." Jiruo replied softly. As relief washed over Liang Shixian, he found the absurdity of their situation overwhelming. They had indeed managed to evade detection beneath the very noses of 2 monstrous creatures. The reason behind this stroke of luck eluded him, leading him to attribute it to sheer fortune. Jiruo's voice reassured him of her presence beside him, prompting him to steal a glance at her while still fixated on the combat above. He froze. Though Jiruo lay in the mud like him, caked in filth, she had somehow propped her hands behind her head and crossed her legs, reclining comfortably. "The relationship between these monsters is atrocious," Jiruo remarked, clicking her tongue softly. "Are you seriously treating this like a picnic?" Liang Shixian retorted. The battle between the 2 creatures offered no quarter. Once conflict erupted, it became a matter of life and death. Higher-tiered monsters might possess the intelligence to recognize when to withdraw, but the Spider Queen, consumed by rage, and the catfish, caught off guard, were both in a foul mood. The injuries sustained in battle only fueled their tempers, leaving no room for retreat. If one were to speculate, the catfish might feel a sense of grievance. After all, it had been ambushed without warning by the Spider Queen. It had consumed a few nine-eyed demon spiders in the past, but that hardly warranted such a violent reprisal. despite having feasted on the Spider Queen's offspring. She had never shown any ire before now. Though the catfish was enraged, it also felt wronged, compelling it to continue its assault. It was cornered, and while it acknowledged its own culpability, the Spider Queen's fury seemed excessive. Winning would be a relief, but losing would be utterly humiliating. Liang Shixian, nursing a slight headache, murmured, Ji Ruo, we are still in danger. Could you refrain from analyzing the psychological states of these monsters? Indeed, Ji Ruo's insights into the catfish's thoughts were purely speculative, a product of her imagination. What else should we do? Just lie here? Ji Ruo replied, somewhat annoyed. Don't you know that in such open contests, there are usually commentators to help the audience understand the situation? Damn the audience and their commentary, Liang Shixian exclaimed. Zhang Quan and Lu Nong, overhearing the exchange, dared not breathe a word, knowing well that it would draw the attention of the two furious creatures battling above them. Never abandon, never give up. The notes accompanying the disguise skill were quite intriguing. Since arriving in this world, it was the first time Ji Ruo had acquired a skill with two annotations. Annotation, understand the environment, assimilate into the environment, become the environment. Annotation, you can't see me. While the annotation seemed somewhat whimsical, upon reflection, the second one resembled a footnote to the first, understanding the environment. Assimilating into it, and becoming part of it was precisely what Ji Ruo and her companions were doing. They lay motionless, covered in mud, making it difficult to discern their presence without close inspection. Although they were at the edge of a swamp, the muck was several centimeters deep, and after rolling around, they were thoroughly coated, rendering them nearly invisible. They had melded into their surroundings, thus becoming almost imperceptible. It was also likely that the Spider Queen had lost much of her rationality in her frenzy. As long as Ji Ruo and her companions remained still, they could witness the unfolding drama. With a stroke of luck, they might even encounter some unexpected challenges. Li Nan's breath fluctuated. As a Qi Pulse Realm warrior, the poison coursing through her veins did not originate from the Spider Queen, Or perhaps the Spider Queen merely intended to subdue her rather than kill her. While the poison could be lethal, Li Nan's superior physique allowed her to manage it effectively. She could manipulate her vital energy to seal off minor wounds with ease. However, the poison had a potent numbing effect. Otherwise, she would have expelled it long ago. When trapped in the silk cocoon, the nine-eyed demon spiders had injected her with venom periodically, preventing her formidable body from functioning at full capacity. Now that Ji Ruo had rescued her, though her consciousness was still clouded, her vital energy was gradually dispersing the residual toxins within her. Unless the Spider Queen directly intervened, the regular venom from the nine-eyed demon spiders would not be enough to kill her. A powerful warrior is impervious to poisons. What had happened to the other students? Had they escaped? Though her body remained numb and weak, Li Nan's awareness was slowly returning. She realized she lay motionless in some location. Recalling how Ji Ruo had turned back to carry her away, a bittersweet thought crossed her mind. Had they deemed her a burden and abandoned her in the wild? Perhaps it was for the best. As a proctor, she had a duty to protect the students and could not hinder their escape. Though she thought this, a pang of disappointment arose within her. Who wouldn't he want to survive? She was still young. They were merely martial apprentices. Carrying her, they wouldn't have made it far. If they left her behind, her body might distract the nine-eyed demon spiders. Someone had to make the sacrifice. They couldn't all perish while she failed to fulfill her duty as a proctor. Li Nan continually reassured herself. Yet she couldn't shake the sadness or the fear of death, softly sobbing as if mourning. Gradually, she adapted to the intense ringing in her ears and the dizziness. Although still weak, she could begin to hear again. Wow, that catfish's tail swipe was nothing short of spectacular. The catfish had been using its head and whiskers to attack. Seemingly clumsy, but actually employing psychological tactics to confuse the giant spider. When the spider let down its guard, the hefty tail struck with precision, knocking the spider's jaw askew. Go, big brother catfish. You're the fattest. Ji Ruo whispered enthusiastically, providing her own commentary. Liang Shixian and the others had grown weary of her chatter. Realizing that the two creatures above were consumed in their battle, oblivious to their presence for the time being. The great spider, undeterred, though caught off guard and struck awkwardly, remained unfazed, treating the incident as if she had merely purchased an exclusive skin. Oh, teacher, you're awake? Why are you crying? Are you hungry? Just hang in there. We'll be dining soon, Ji Ruo inquired, as he turned to address the low sobs emanating from Li Nan, who abruptly halted her tears. The sadness she had cultivated suddenly becoming disjointed. She lay beside Ji Ruo, her head tilted toward him due to his earlier assistance in extricating her from the mire during her unconsciousness. Hearing his voice, she quickly opened her eyes. Didn't you escape? I told you not to worry about me. Why didn't you listen? Shoo. Ji Ruo responded sternly. Teacher, during hide-and-seek or a play, one must not raise their voice. It can disturb others' experiences. Hide-and-seek? A play? Li Nan stiffly turned her gaze upward, where two formidable creatures were engaged in a fierce battle atop a massive, deep purple web, both parties bearing numerous wounds. The six-whiskered catfish was riddled with countless small punctures, inflicted by the Spider Queen's fearsome mandibles and sharp legs. Some wounds were even corroded by highly toxic venom, still emitting wisps of noxious smoke. Blood, dark purple and oddly foul-smelling, oozed from many injuries, indicating severe poisoning. Meanwhile, the Spider Queen, who had previously captured Li Nan, was not faring much better. Half of her menacing mandibles had vanished, and 3 out of 8 of her sharp legs had been severed. Li Nan found the scene absurd. They lay beneath two monstrous beings, yet neither attacked them. Instead, they fought fiercely among themselves, seemingly having battled for quite some time. What is happening? Li Nan asked, bewildered. Ji Ruo clicked his tongue. I'm not entirely sure. They inexplicably began to fight. However, it's not hard to analyze. Perhaps it was love at first sight. A one-sided infatuation leading to resentment. Maybe the six-whiskered catfish strayed, and the Spider Queen, in a fit of rage, retaliated. Li Nan could only blink in disbelief. Love at first sight? Resentment? What are you talking about? They aren't even of the same species. Teacher, how do you feel? Earlier, you appeared severely poisoned. How are you now? Ji Ruo inquired. Li Nan pondered for a moment and quietly replied. The toxin has been diluted by my vitality, but recovery will take some time. I see. Then, please rest well. Teacher, we are in no hurry and will wait for you to recover. Li Nannan opened her mouth, momentarily at a loss for words. How could this student speak so casually? They were in the treacherous Beast Mountain secret realm. Even she, a patrolling warrior, had nearly met her end. Yet this student seemed utterly unconcerned. Suddenly, Li Nannan felt something odd in her mouth. Instinctively, she touched the peculiar area with her tongue. "Why are two of my teeth missing?" she exclaimed, bewildered. She then sensed that her face was slightly swollen, but the lingering poison masked the pain. At that moment, Ji Ruo, filled with indignation, declared, "This spider is outrageous. She cavorts with the six-whiskered catfish, producing a multitude of spiderlings, and yet has the audacity to accuse the catfish of infidelity. Absurd." Li Nannan was deeply confused. "Why are two of my teeth gone? I've never heard that the poison of the nine-eyed demon spider could cause tooth loss." The Spider Queen, gasping in agony, struggled as two more of her remaining 5 legs broke, reducing her to a pitiful state where one side bore 2 legs and the other just one. Her 9 crimson eyes had also dimmed significantly. The battle between the monsters was relentless and instinctual, each blow aimed to kill. Though the Spider Queen was in dire straits, the six-whiskered catfish was equally incapacitated, having been severely affected by the Spider Queen's toxic gaze and inundated with venom, rendering it immobile and bound within the web. Victory was clear. The Spider Queen had achieved a Pyrrhic triumph. "Ah, it's over," Ji Ruo remarked, clicking his tongue. Liang Shixian whispered urgently, "Ji Ruo, stop talking. If that creature discovers us, we're doomed." The Spider Queen, with most of her legs missing, struggled to maintain her balance on the web. However, she had emerged victorious. And that was all that mattered. Monsters possess a unique means of advancement, consuming powerful creatures or warriors to significantly enhance their strength, and their wounds heal at an alarming rate in battle. As long as life remained, no matter the severity of the injuries, survival was paramount. Victory was all that mattered. Of course, the evolution of monsters was not fixed. Consuming formidable beings could even alter their very species. Ji Ruo could foresee that once the Spider Queen consumed the six-whiskered catfish, her life form would inevitably change, and she might no longer be the nine-eyed demon spider. After a moment of heavy breathing, the remaining magical eyes on the Spider Queen glowed ominously. Ji Ruo and the others, lying on the ground, watched as the web, once a battlefield, constricted further, binding the six-whiskered catfish more securely. Simultaneously, the threads wrapped around the Spider Queen's body, transforming into legs and sealing her wounds. She was utilizing her silk to mend her damaged body. Though those silk appendages lacked the strength of her original form, they sufficed for movement. She had no intention of devouring the six-whiskered catfish here, for a monster was exceedingly vulnerable during its evolution. Advancing in such a precarious position posed a significant risk. Thus, even with the allure of the catfish, she had to restrain herself until she returned to her lair, where she could weave her web anew and proceed with her consumption. It is worth noting that monsters are termed as such not only due to their peculiar means of advancement, but also because they possess various special abilities. For instance, the nine-eyed demon spider wields the unique power of the slowing demon eye, capable of reducing the speed of its prey. Furthermore, as arachnid monsters, they inherently possess several common abilities, such as toxin production and silk manipulation. With a crash, the Spider Queen, burdened by the near-death six-whiskered catfish, fell, losing her earlier agility. She slowly trudged toward her lair. Liang Shixian and the others held their breath. The situation was now drastically different, and any careless words could lead to their discovery. However, Ji Ruo, after a moment's thought, suddenly rose from the mire. "Ji Ruo, what are you doing?" Liang Shixian gasped. Allowing the Spider Queen to leave unchallenged seemed the best course of action, given her grievous injuries. Yet Ji Ruo, pointing at the limping figure of the Spider Queen, insisted, "She is gravely wounded and returning alone. I cannot bear to let her go." "Why do you care?" Liang Shixian was nearly frantic. "Lie down quickly. Don't let her see you." "No," Ji Ruo maintained earnestly. "We cannot stand by and do nothing." The others were equally bewildered, including the still tingling Li Nannan. "Do you realize what you're saying? That is a monster. Is this truly the time to consider such matters?" Yet before they could persuade him further, Ji Ruo surged forward, calling out, "Hey, don't go. You're severely injured. It's unsafe to return alone." The muddy boy, hardly recognizable, waved his arms and chased after her, speaking with concern as if he genuinely cared for the Spider Queen's well-being. "Certainly. The credibility would have been significantly enhanced had the mud on the youth's palm not dried quickly, cracking to reveal the crimson interior of his hand. The severely injured Spider Queen paused momentarily upon hearing the sound, her reactions dulled by the extent of her wounds. By the time she sensed something amiss, Ji Ruo had already darted behind her. Without waiting for the Spider Queen to turn, he leaped high and landed on her back. A pair of crimson, intensely heated palms struck against the dark purple silk that enveloped the Spider Queen. The motion appeared gentle, akin to a tender pat on the shoulder of a departing friend. "My fellow, why not stay a while longer? With such grievous injuries, there's no need to rush back," Ji Ruo consoled, while his scalding iron sand palms swiftly rubbed against the dark purple strands. This creature was indeed formidable, comparable to the pinnacle of the Chi Pulse realm. Even its silk exhibited greater heat resistance than that of an ordinary nine-eyed demon spider. Yet, it was futile. Ji Ruo's iron sand palms had reached a level of mastery reserved for those in the Chi Pulse realm, generating an exceedingly high temperature and, at that moment, rubbing at high speed. In the blink of an eye, the dark purple silk ignited. It began as a spark and rapidly spread. Ji Ruo had already jumped away, nimble as a monkey, swiftly climbing up a nearby tree. Hiss! Hiss! The silk was highly flammable. Once it caught fire, it was nearly impossible to extinguish. At this juncture, the Spider Queen was covered in strands of silk, initially intended to control her injuries and movements, but now it had become her death knell. Amidst the roaring flames, the Spider Queen rolled on the ground, desperately trying to smother the fire. However, once the silk of the nine-eyed demon spider was set ablaze, even water proved ineffectual in extinguishing it. How could it be so easily snuffed out? The severely wounded Spider Queen was further injured by the searing flames. The gasping six-bearded catfish also suffered from the blaze, yet it lacked the strength to struggle. Ji Ruo crouched on the tree trunk, observing the writhing Spider Queen below, unable to refrain from exclaiming, "If you didn't wish to stay, you should have said so. How can such a large spider roll around in distress?" The dark purple silk, laced with potent venom, now ignited by the flames, released a slow rise of purple toxic smoke. Within the sunless Beast Mountain secret realm, a clear distinction between day and night still prevailed. It was currently daytime. Sunlight, akin to golden rays, cascaded from the heavens, penetrating the treetops and forming mottled patches of light on the forest floor, illuminating the anguished Spider Queen. Ji Ruo pondered. Is this what they call the legendary incense burner producing purple smoke? So, your name is Incense Burner? As the purple toxic smoke billowed, he had already descended from the treetop, assisting the still somewhat numb Li Nanan as he signaled for the others to move toward the upwind direction. "Wait a moment. I'll help you stir it," he lamented. What a shame to waste such good scores. In a certain mountain hollow, Ji Ruo expressed his regret. The Spider Queen's venom was so corrosive that it could even erode stone, with the silk ablaze and toxic smoke rising, regardless of whether the Spider Queen would perish. The surrounding forest would become heavily contaminated. Ji Ruo, not being of the Chi Pulse realm, certainly lacked the resilience against such potent toxins. The wild scores could not be retrieved. Liang Shixian could not help but say, "Ji Ruo, could you refrain from being so impulsive in the future? That was extremely dangerous. What if your iron sand palms had failed to ignite the silk? Returning then would mean certain death. Although the Spider Queen is severely injured, you are not her match." Ji Ruo grinned broadly, dismissing the concern. "Oh, it's all right. Everything is under control." Was the youth truly impulsive at that moment? Certainly not. Although Liang Shixian excelled academically, he was ultimately just an ordinary high school student. He merely thought of lying motionless in the mud, waiting for the Spider Queen to depart with her prey, thus ensuring their safety. Ji Ruo, having lived two lives, perceived matters with greater depth than Liang Shixian. While magical creatures experience a period of weakness during their ascension, low-tier monsters do not take long to advance. With 5 days remaining until the end of the martial examination, Ji Ruo and the others still had to remain in this beast mountain for another 5 days. This interval was ample time for the Spider Queen to devour the six-bearded catfish and complete her ascension. Should the fully evolved Spider Queen seek to hunt them afterward, they would have to confront a spider-like monster surpassing the Chi Pulse realm in its prime. Although this was merely a possibility, Ji Ruo did not wish to gamble. Caution is the mother of safety. In the perilous Beast Mountain, being overly cautious is never unwarranted. By the way, teacher, You previously mentioned that an unknown change had occurred in the Beast Mountain secret realm. What did you mean by that? Ji Ruo inquired suddenly. He had already sensed something amiss. Throughout their journey in the Beast Mountain secret realm, everything they encountered diverged from what had been taught in school. At the very least, the teachers had never mentioned that goblins could speak human language or cultivate blood rice. Moreover, even the patrolling martial artists had nearly become prey for magical creatures. Li Nanan pondered for a moment and replied, I'm not entirely sure. It seems that the originally delineated areas have suddenly become chaotic. And there has also been a disruption in network connectivity, with numerous magical creatures and demon beasts far exceeding the martial examination standards appearing in the areas under my jurisdiction. The designated martial examination area has become chaotic? Ji Ruo paused. Then which area are we currently in? Within the Beast Mountain secret realm. The only places controlled by humans were at the foot of the mountain, divided into 60 zones. The higher the zone number, the more perilous it became. This was knowledge from high school textbooks, not a secret. I don't know. Li Nanan shook her head slightly. My wristwatch was damaged during the battle with the Spider Queen. So I can't check the electronic map, and thus I also don't know where we are now. Ji Ruo's brow furrowed slightly. Being outside the designated martial examination area was exceedingly dangerous for him. While the absolute sense of direction could mitigate risks to a certain extent, it was not infallible. The correction rate was too low, and any slight error could lead to disastrous consequences. The other three also understood the implications of leaving the designated martial examination area. Their faces etched with concern. Seeing their expressions, Li Nanan realized she had misspoken. Although it was the truth, there were times when one should not speak it. She reassured them, you needn't worry. The teacher will ensure your safety. Given the unforeseen circumstances during the martial examination, we cannot adhere to the previous rules. Our foremost priority now is survival. Upon hearing this, Lu Ning couldn't help but say, but teacher, you yourself were captured by the nine-eyed demon spider. And it was Ji Ruo who rescued you. How can you protect us? Silence. Ji Ruo admonished. Can you not speak? If the teacher says she will protect us, then she will undoubtedly do so. What nonsense are you spouting? Liang Shixian also cast a disapproving look at Lu Nan. This guy truly had no sense of tact. Lu Nang opened his mouth to retort, but ultimately said nothing, awkwardly returning to sit beside Zhang Quan. Li Nanan appeared somewhat embarrassed. She turned to Ji Ruo, classmate. Your name is Ji Ruo, right? That student was correct. It is indeed thanks to you this time. I had originally intended to gurgle before she could finish her sentence. Her stomach suddenly grumbled audibly, causing her to blush furiously. Fortunately, her face was still smeared with thick mud, rendering it less noticeable. During the martial examination, patrolling martial artists were required to enter the examination grounds a day in advance. They needed to familiarize themselves with the examination environment and conduct another screening for any magical creatures or demon beasts exceeding the candidate's limits within the martial examination area. When Li Nanan first entered, everything seemed normal, but after she familiarized herself and patrolled her designated area, she was ambushed by the nine-eyed demon spider. The nine-eyed demon spider was known for its gregarious nature, and with a formidable spider queen comparable to the pinnacle of the Chi Pulse realm leading the charge. Its sluggish magical eyes could even affect Chi Pulse realm martial artists, leading to her defeat after a fierce struggle. For the following days, she was trapped in the lair of the nine-eyed demon spider, continuously injected with venom by numerous spiders, rendering her body paralyzed and dazed until Ji Ruo came to her rescue. By now, she had gone nearly 3 days without food, having endured a fierce battle and afterwards spent her energy diluting the toxins within her body, leaving her utterly exhausted. As Ji Ruo noticed this, he stood up, unzipped the pocket of his school pants, and pulled out 2 handfuls of muddy blood rice. During their previous escape, most of the blood rice had been lost, leaving only this small portion, which had been shielded by the zipper of his pocket. It's about time. Let us dine, teacher. Please, you eat first. Ji Ruo handed the blood rice to Li Nanan, saying, given our limited resources, I hope you won't mind. This time, Ji Ruo did not use his iron sand palm to cook the rice. Although his pocket was filled to the brim, it was still too small to submerge his hand completely, which prevented him from triggering the cooking effect. Is this blood rice? Li Nanan was momentarily taken aback. The rice was still unshelled, clearly not brought from outside the examination hall, but rather an unexpected harvest from their time within it. Perhaps you should eat, teacher. I'm not hungry. Li Nanan instinctively wanted to refuse. Please, Just eat. As the proctor warrior, you must be nourished to protect us, correct? Liang Shixian chimed in, yes. Teacher, your fullness is far more beneficial than ours. Eat without worry. If it's insufficient, I have some left. As he spoke, Liang Shixian also unzipped his pocket and pulled out his own blood rice. Ji Ruo raised an eyebrow, surprised that the class leader had the same thought. He had not stored all the rice in a makeshift bundle made from his uniform jacket, leaving some to spare. After a moment of hesitation, Li Nanan finally nodded. Very well, teacher, please eat first. Afterward, I will take you to find more food. However, Ji Ruo suddenly interjected, wait. Li Nanan, who had already opened her mouth to swallow, was abruptly halted by Ji Ruo's command, fearing he was having second thoughts. To her surprise, Ji Ruo took the blood rice from Liang Shixian and Li Nanan, mixed it together, placed it on the ground, and raised his palms, gesturing as if to demonstrate something. Teacher, raw food is hard to digest, Ji Ruo said earnestly. It's fine, Li Nanan began. But her words faltered as she watched Ji Ruo plunge his hands into the blood rice, his palms turning crimson as he began to stir it vigorously. Just a moment. Teacher, let me cook it for you first, Ji Ruo insisted. Li Nanan was dumbfounded. The iron sand palm can be used like this? I will not play along with you. Abandon such thoughts. In the midst of Li Nanan's incredulity, the blood rice gradually transformed into cooked rice under Ji Ruo's iron sand palm. Teacher, eat it while it's hot, Ji Ruo offered, cradling the rice and presenting it to her. Though he felt a bit hungry himself, and the remaining rice was scant. Ji Ruo understood well that distributing the rice wisely would yield the greatest benefit. Restoring the strength of a Qi Pulse Realm warrior was far more advantageous than anything else. Thank you, Ji Ruo, Li Nanan murmured softly. She realized that her escape was largely due to Ji Ruo's efforts. As a proctor warrior, she had failed to fulfill her responsibilities, neglecting to protect the examinees in her jurisdiction, even losing track of where her examination area was. A wave of shame washed over her. Yet, she devoured the perfectly cooked blood rice with vigor, leaving not a single grain behind. At that moment, the residual toxins in her body had not yet dissipated. Though she was hungry, her appetite was somewhat muted. Moreover, the unshelled blood rice, still muddied, left much to be desired in taste. However, Li Nanan understood that to safeguard these students, she needed to nourish herself and recover swiftly. Thus, she forced herself to consume all the rice, despite the nausea it provoked. After a brief while, as a gentle warmth rose within her abdomen, the familiar sensation of strength gradually returned, and her numbed body began to recover swiftly. She exhaled quietly in relief. Once her strength was regained, she would venture out to hunt. She could not rely solely on her students for sustenance. After all, she was their teacher. Teacher, are you thirsty? Would you like me to fetch you some water? Ji Ruo inquired. Li Nanan shook her head slightly. The blood rice was rapidly being metabolized within her, her qi and blood circulation returning to normal. In a few hours, she would be able to barely regain her combat capability. Given that Ji Ruo had given her all the remaining blood rice, she felt it inappropriate to have him attend to her needs. Thank you, Ji Ruo. But it's unnecessary. I just need a moment to rest. The toxins in my body have been mostly diluted. All right then. Teacher, please rest well. I will explore nearby. Be cautious. Don't wander too far. Upon hearing this, Ji Ruo suddenly felt as though he was a parent letting their child play nearby. Understood, teacher. Ji Ruo turned and left the hollow. He did not intend to stray far. In fact, he was merely seeking a new stick to replace the broken one he had previously found. Liang Shixian glanced at Lu Neng and said to Li Nannan, Teacher, I will check on Ji Ruo. Yes, the current Wanshou mountain is rather perilous. Be careful, Li Nannan replied, already focusing on accelerating her recovery. Okay. However, before Liang Shixian could catch up to Ji Ruo, a sudden exclamation echoed from outside the hollow. Wow! Liang Shixian's expression changed, and he hurriedly asked, What's wrong? Ji Ruo? What happened? He prepared to dash out. Li Nannan tensed, ready for action. Yet before she could move, Ji Ruo's excited voice rang from outside the hollow. What a straight stick! How lucky I am to have found a sword. Li Nannan. What stick? What sword? Liang Shixian, just as he rushed out, saw Ji Ruo holding a perfectly straight stick, admiring it as though it were a rare treasure. Stumbling, Liang Shixian nearly fell. Unable to contain his frustration, Ji Ruo. Can you not be so childish? How can this be childish? Ji Ruo joyfully waved the two sticks. Look how straight this one is. It's quite rare. Haha. Watch my dual wielding. The boy playfully swung the sticks, mimicking some dual wielding techniques he had seen in his past life, playfully tapping Liang Shixian. Of course, he exerted no real strength. It was merely playful banter. Liang Shixian swatted the stick away and frowned. Stop fooling around, Ji Ruo. I know you enjoy playing, but can you at least be mindful of this? The situation? Oh, class leader, you've misunderstood me. Ji Ruo replied, feigning innocence. I found the sticks for you. For me? Liang Shixian paused, suddenly realizing something. His expression shifted. Ji Ruo, I will not engage in stick fights with you. Abandon such thoughts. Oh, that is not what I meant. Ji Ruo offered a stick. Class leader, didn't you want to learn the arrow break technique? Now that we have time and there is no danger. It's the perfect opportunity for me to teach you. Liang Shixian was taken aback. Now? Teach me? Although Ji Ruo had briefly outlined the fundamentals of the arrow break technique before, martial arts could never be mastered through theory alone. Practical application was essential. Of course. Ji Ruo smiled. We have time now, and there is no threat. Why not teach you? Besides, with the teacher here, if I make any mistakes, she can correct me. Li Nanan nodded. Ji Ruo is correct. We are temporarily safe now. Regarding martial techniques, I can provide some guidance. In truth, she could offer more than mere guidance. If Ji Ruo were to request it, she could even directly impart some martial skills to him. Regardless of their respective statuses, a life-saving grace was a life-saving grace. Liang Shixian looked at the stick Ji Ruo extended toward him, glancing hesitantly at Zhang Quan and Lu Neng, who were seated behind Li Nanan, feeling somewhat conflicted. It wasn't that he was unwilling to learn, but since the technique was Ji Ruo's original creation, he feared that teaching it here would allow Zhang Quan and Lu Neng to learn it as well. Liang Shixian was not petty, but Lu Neng's previous remarks had soured his opinion of him. Thus, he subconsciously extended that dislike to Zhang Quan, who was from the same school. Though Liang Shixian wished to learn, he was reluctant for Zhang Quan and Lu Neng to benefit from it. He felt vexed. However, Ji Ruo seemed entirely unconcerned, firmly placing the stick into Liang Shixian's hand. A real man shouldn't be so fussy. Stop dilly-dallying. He was well aware of Liang Shixian's concerns, yet remained indifferent. Although he harbored a slight disdain for Lu Neng, it was not that Ji Ruo looked down upon those two individuals, who had yet to grasp the fundamental knowledge imparted in school. What difference would it make to teach in their presence? Would they truly comprehend? It was laughable. With a grin, Ji Ruo remarked, Class monitor, do you recall what I mentioned earlier? The Duga 9 Swords arrow breaking technique is a swordsmanship specifically designed to counter flying projectiles. Liang Shixian's lips twitched slightly. Despite having heard it once before, he found himself at a loss for words when Ji Ruo reiterated the term flying projectiles. Could you not simply refer to them as hidden weapons? It sounded almost like a video game. Ji Ruo continued. This sword technique does not have specific sword moves. Its essence lies in the ability to discern the wind and predict the trajectory. As for auditory skills, class monitor, you should not have any problems. But it is primarily about prediction. In combat, you must swiftly assess the situation and determine the sequence of the flying projectiles through sound, which will inform your response time. At that moment, your swordplay will create a unique rhythm or cadence, and only then will this sword technique be deemed mastered. Listening intently, Li Nanan could not help but furrow her brow. Despite the unequal status between them, she still felt gratitude towards Ji Ruo. Hence, while healing from her injuries, she dedicated part of her focus to seriously absorb Ji Ruo's theoretical teachings on swordsmanship. Li Nanan was determined to guide Ji Ruo properly, if he was willing. She even intended to share all her knowledge. After all, it was a matter of life and death. However, after hearing Ji Ruo elaborate on the theory, she suddenly thought that this student might be a tad too ambitious. Was Ji Ruo's theoretical approach flawed? Not at all. In fact, it was quite sound. Was it impractical? Theoretically, it was feasible. Yet, for someone at the martial apprentice stage, it was overly advanced. Even for her, a practitioner at the Qi Vein stage, it felt somewhat ahead of its time. It is well known that whether at the martial apprentice or Qi Vein stage, one can only counter hidden weapons or flying projectiles with speed, using rapid sword techniques to form a rudimentary sword barrier. Essentially, it is a matter of luck. While discerning sound is a skill possessed by nearly all martial artists, prediction cannot be solely learned through auditory discernment. Battles against monsters or other martial artists are ever-changing. To instantly deduce the position of all flying projectiles through sound and simultaneously calculate their landing points while executing sword techniques is nearly impossible, let alone for a martial apprentice. Even those at the Qi Vein stage rarely possess such formidable reflexes. The sword technique Ji Ruo described could only be classified as a fantasy swordsmanship. After a moment's hesitation, Li Nanan spoke, Classmate Ji Ruo, in martial arts, one must remain grounded. She refrained from being too explicit, fearing it might hurt Ji Ruo's pride. Yet, Ji Ruo perceived the underlying message. She thought he was being overly ambitious, didn't she? Thus, Ji Ruo twirled a small stick in a graceful flourish and said, "Well then, let us conclude the theory here. Teacher, could you assist me?" Li Nanan was taken aback. Assist with what? Ji Ruo turned and gathered a handful of small stones from the valley, placing them before Li Nanan, saying, "Knowledge acquired from books is merely superficial. True understanding must be gained through practice. Swordsmanship cannot be mastered by merely listening to theory. It requires practical demonstration. Please throw stones at me, and I shall demonstrate for the class monitor." Throw stones? Li Nanan hesitated for a moment, but eventually nodded. All right. She contemplated whether to throw them with more force or less. If she threw them too hard, Ji Ruo might not be able to catch them, which could undermine his confidence. Conversely, if she threw them too lightly, it would feel as though she were deceiving him, which would be of no benefit to his martial arts training. She was quite conflicted. "Teacher, I am ready." "Very well." Taking a deep breath, Li Nanan resolved to throw with a bit more force. If it were to dent his confidence, so be it. Martial arts leave no room for shortcuts. She aimed to teach Ji Ruo the importance of not reaching beyond his grasp. Thus, Li Nanan picked up a stone, her wrist twisting as she employed the standard throwing technique for hidden weapons. Whoosh! The sound of the stone slicing through the air was so swift that even with Ji Ruo's level 6 martial apprentice strength, it was difficult to see. Li Nanan thought to herself, if that stone struck him, it would undoubtedly hurt, but the teaching effect would be significant. She focused intently on Ji Ruo. Even if her strength had not fully returned, she was confident that she would not miss. And yet, the next moment, she was stunned. Ji Ruo did not even glance at the stone she had thrown. He even turned to converse with Liang Shixian. "Class monitor, pay attention. Listening to the wind and predicting the trajectory. That is the Duga 9 sword's arrow-breaking technique." Meanwhile, the sword that had been slung across his back was now inexplicably in Ji Ruo's hand. Without even looking, he seemed to wield it with casual grace. Stopping at a particular position, clang, the stone was deflected by the blade, leaving Li Nanan momentarily bewildered. Was it mere luck? Or had Ji Ruo truly grasped such a sword technique? At that moment, Ji Ruo turned back and cheerfully said, "Teacher, don't stop. Throw more. If you throw just one at a time, we won't see any real effect." Li Nanan inhaled deeply. All right. She picked up 3 stones and threw them simultaneously. The trio of stones flew swiftly through the air, so fast that they were nearly imperceptible to the naked eye, forming a triangular formation aimed at Ji Ruo. The angles of attack were exceedingly tricky. In Li Nanan's mind, even if Ji Ruo managed to block one, he would inevitably be hit by the other 2. With the reaction speed of a level 6 martial apprentice, it was impossible to block all 3 stones simultaneously. Even if he could react, there would be no time to block the other 2 after intercepting one. However, to her astonishment, Ji Ruo suddenly extended his sword to the left, sweeping it upward in a semicircle. Clang, clang, clang. 3 sounds rang out almost simultaneously. Li Nanan's mouth fell open in disbelief. It was not that she could not achieve this. Rather, how could Ji Ruo, a level 6 martial apprentice, possibly predict the trajectory and order of the stones she had thrown merely by listening? Ji Ruo turned again and said to Liang Shixian, "Class monitor, once you master this sword technique, it does not matter whether you can see, as long as you can hear." Li Nanan's eyes narrowed, sensing a flaw. Almost instinctively, she released 7 stones in one go using a special technique. The stones varied in speed, but the difference was not substantial, making them appear nearly simultaneous. Furthermore, 3 of the stones followed curved trajectories rather than straight lines, let alone the fact that Ji Ruo wasn't even looking this way. A level 6 martial apprentice's eyesight could not possibly discern such details. Even if he could, he would have no way to predict their paths. The clanging sounds continued as one stone after another was deflected, while Ji Ruo did not even turn his head. Almost simultaneously, only the last stone, which followed a curved path, remained airborne. Ji Ruo remained oblivious. The stone was now directly before him. If he did not block it, it would surely strike him squarely in the chest. Yet, Ji Ruo seemed entirely unaware of the impending danger, choosing instead to raise his sword above his head. Liang Shixian was perplexed by Ji Ruo's actions, but Li Nanan was utterly astonished. The stone did not crash into Ji Ruo's body. Instead, it defied the laws of physics, abruptly ascending and exploding above his head into numerous small fragments that rained down. Ji Ruo's sword danced once more, effortlessly deflecting the debris with grace. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of the fragments striking the sword formed a harmonious chorus as he continued speaking to Liang Shixian. Once you can hear the sounds, you will be able to predict, and then you can strike with precision. In fact, this sword technique does not require immense computational ability. Shortly, I will share some tips about this technique. Once you master these skills and practice diligently, class monitor, you will naturally grasp this unique rhythm and cadence. After that, employing this sword technique in combat will be effortless. Simply act on instinct. Li Nanan was left speechless as she reminisced about the sword techniques displayed by Ji Ruo while fending off the last stone, which could change direction and shatter. An odd sensation washed over her. It felt as if those fragments of stone were deliberately colliding with Ji Ruo's blade. Ji Ruo's swordplay was ethereal and swift, striking first with precision and grace. A thought suddenly sprang to Li Nanan's mind. It was utterly absurd that a martial artist of her caliber at the Qi Meridian realm found herself rendered speechless by a high school student. Furthermore, Ji Ruo's sword technique exuded no discernible sword energy. It was entirely reliant on exquisite moves, indicating that Ji Ruo's swordsmanship was merely at the threshold of comprehension. Zhang Quan and Lu Neng, standing behind her, shared the same sentiment. They too yearned to learn, yet felt too shy to ask. Li Nanan bit her lip and suddenly inquired, Ji Ruo, where did you learn this sword technique? Learn? Ji Ruo chuckled lightly. Teacher, this sword technique is of my own creation. Your own creation? Li Nanan was once again startled. Liang Shixian quickly interjected. Teacher, this sword technique is indeed Ji Ruo's original work. He possesses extraordinary talent. The class monitor was genuinely concerned for Ji Ruo. As an orphan, Ji Ruo lacked the resources available to ordinary students. But if he could capture the attention of a martial arts examiner, even receive instruction in some martial techniques, it would be a boon for him. If that were to happen, Liang Shixian would not only harbor no jealousy, but would sincerely rejoice for Ji Ruo. Had Ji Ruo been privy to Liang Shixian's thoughts, he would surely have felt that Liang Shixian was the most responsible class monitor he had ever encountered. Li Nanan, astonished, remarked, This is no mere talent. This is sheer genius. Ji Ruo smiled and replied, It's really nothing special. Li Nanan could not help but ask, Ji Ruo, would you be willing to share how you created this sword technique? To say it is the most exquisite martial apprentice technique I have ever seen is no exaggeration. It is hard to fathom that a high school student crafted it. The process of martial technique creation is a secret, and as soon as Li Nanan finished speaking, she regretted it and quickly added, Of course, if you prefer not to share, I won't press you. Ji Ruo feigned modesty, scratching his head. He had anticipated inquiries of this nature and had prepared his response in advance. It's not really a secret, Ji Ruo began. When I was young, there was a jujube tree in front of my house. Every autumn, when the jujubes ripened, my father would take me climbing to pick them. Sometimes, he would kick the tree, and with his agility, gather all the fallen jujubes. Occasionally, he would playfully let me get hit by the falling jujubes. Standing by and laughing heartily, Ji Ruo spoke truthfully. In the memories of the original owner, this was indeed a part of his past. In the home he had once inhabited, there was a jujube tree at the entrance. However, after his parents perished in battle, young Ji Ruo could not fend for himself and was sent to an orphanage by the education department. It was only after he entered high school that he was returned to a new home. Liang Shixian, aware of the circumstances, felt a twinge of concern. Ji Ruo gently shook his head. Don't worry, class monitor, I'm fine. In any case, my sword technique was created during that time, to evade the falling jujubes. I observed and discovered certain patterns. Later, even in the orphanage, I was bullied by some unruly children who sometimes hurled stones at me, which helped deepen my memory. So, I gradually summarized and perfected it, eventually forming this sword technique. I call it the Dugu 9 Swords, Arrow Breaker form. Li Nanan was momentarily taken aback and apologetically said, I'm sorry. I had no idea. She understood all too well what it meant to end up in an orphanage and be bullied. Ji Ruo was an orphan. It's all right, teacher. Ji Ruo smiled. It's all in the past, isn't it? One must always look forward. We cannot live in the past forever. Having inadvertently touched on a painful memory for her student, Li Nanan felt awkward, and the atmosphere became tense. Liang Shixian, sensing this, pondered for a moment before shifting the topic. Dugu 9 Swords? So, does that mean there are 8 other forms? Not at the moment, Ji Ruo replied with a smile. Li Nanan, puzzled, asked then why. Ji Ruo grinned. Don't you think the name Duga Nine Swords sounds quite cool? Li Nan coughed lightly, marveling at Ji Ruo's exceptional talent. However, she found it even more admirable that he could maintain such a sincere devotion to martial arts under those circumstances, remaining neither arrogant nor impetuous. She couldn't help but praise him. Ji Ruo, you are the most outstanding student I have ever encountered. If I had experienced everything you have, I would have surely crumbled. You are far stronger than I am. Ji Ruo chuckled, ready to exchange pleasantries, when he suddenly froze. Congratulations, host, for unlocking a phase-specific special achievement. The first genuine praise from an elder. Reward. Level up 1. Level up. You may designate one unlocked achievement for an upgrade, enhancing the effects associated with the specified achievement. Current phase. 110. Note. Your affirmation and heartfelt praise are my honor and motivation to grow. Note. I will surely not disappoint your expectations. Ji Ruo's smile abruptly stiffened, leaving Li Nannan and Liang Shixian momentarily taken aback. Li Nannan, fearing she had misspoken, cautiously asked, Ji Ruo, what's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Ji Ruo snapped back to reality, his joyful expression genuine. No, teacher. How could you have said anything wrong? You haven't said anything amiss. Then why did you? I'm just happy. Teacher, please praise me a bit more. Li Nannan was bewildered. This was the first time she had encountered such a request. It was uncommon for someone to actively seek compliments. Nevertheless, seeing Ji Ruo's expectant face, she reluctantly obliged. Ji Ruo, you are truly commendable. Unlike Liang Shixian, who had long grappled with inner turmoil, Li Nannan felt genuine discomfort. The toxins within her had mostly been resolved by her blood and qi, her numb body gradually recovering. After losing 2 teeth, the effects of the anesthesia faded, leaving her in pain. Moreover, Ji Ruo's recent behavior had suddenly severed the connection of sympathy and admiration she had just felt for him. Upon hearing her words, Ji Ruo appeared somewhat dejected. The progress of his phase-specific achievement had not increased. It remained uncertain whether it was due to the lack of sincerity or if an elder could only provide him with minimal advancement. Thank you, teacher, Ji Ruo said with a hint of disinterest. Li Nannan became even more confused. What was the matter with this child? Why had he suddenly become so listless? She could not fathom it. I want to upgrade both achievements, Ji Ruo thought to himself. Afterward, Ji Ruo continued to instruct Liang Shixian, who also displayed considerable talent, though he still had a ways to go before grasping the fundamentals. Nonetheless, Ji Ruo had imparted all he could, leaving Liang Shixian to engage in extensive practice on his own. 2 hours later, Li Nannan stretched her body, feeling nearly restored. She addressed the students. Everyone, please take a break. The exhausted group nodded in agreement. They had not had a proper rest in the past 2 days. Now that Li Nannan had regained some strength, the tension that had gripped them began to ease. Given the limited conditions, they lay on the ground without hesitation, prepared to sleep. For youths sprawled on either side of Li Nannan, with Zhang Quan and Lu Neng lying very close to her. Ji Ruo and Liang Shixian lay on the opposite side. All of them were utterly fatigued. Liang Shixian fell asleep almost as soon as he lay down. Although Ji Ruo was also weary, he did not succumb to sleep immediately. He still had a chance to specify an upgrade for a particular achievement and intended to allocate his points before resting. System, Ji Ruo softly called in his mind. A luminous screen, visible only to Ji Ruo, suddenly appeared before him. The edges of the screen were adorned with simplistic drawings, reminiscent of a child's chalk doodles on a blackboard. Host, Ji Ruo unlocked achievement categories: martial arts, swordsmanship. Functional, total achievements unlocked: 6. Milestone achievement: 1. Martial arts, Iron Sand Palm at 6 years old, swordsmanship, if one wields the staff in youth. The Rapeseed Fields bow low for 10 miles, functional, diplomatic spokesperson, gold medal tour guide. Expert hide-and-seek player, milestone achievement, genuine praise from elders, 110. The above delineates Ji Ruo's currently unlocked achievements, each accompanied by a unique ability aside from the milestone achievement. Given the scarcity of upgrade opportunities, Ji Ruo first disregards the Iron Sand Palm and then the diplomatic spokesperson, as the criteria for upgrading these 2 achievements are relatively straightforward and thus not worthy of consideration. Among the remaining abilities, Ji Ruo's foremost desire for enhancement lies with the gold medal tour guide and expert hide-and-seek player. The absolute sense of direction is immensely powerful. not only enabling one to discern direction, but also facilitating treasure hunting. Should the correction amplitude reach 100, Ji Ruo would be capable of locating anything he desires, making this the achievement he most wishes to upgrade. Conversely, the disguise skill amplifies the effect of disguise by 40, so potent that even the Spider Queen at the peak of her chi pulse could not detect it. This was largely due to the perfect environmental conditions at the time, coupled with the Spider Queen's befuddlement and the distraction provided by the six-bearded catfish, which created a chemical reaction. Ji Ruo yearns to upgrade both achievements. Yet he possesses only a single opportunity for enhancement. After careful contemplation, he resolves not to upgrade either. Previously, while disguising at the marsh's edge, Ji Ruo inadvertently deceived a monster nearly a full tier above his own strength, resulting in a significant accumulation of experience. The disguise skill upgraded directly, enhancing its effect from 40 to 41. This led Ji Ruo to realize that skills or abilities displayed as percentages likely improve by a percentage with each upgrade. Uncertain of how much a single upgrade opportunity might yield, Ji Ruo considers that if the enhancement effect is merely 1, then it would be better not to upgrade at all. Consequently, in the spirit of fairness, Ji Ruo decides against upgrading either achievement. Thus, after thorough deliberation, he chooses to invest this precious upgrade opportunity into the achievement. If one wields this staff in youth, the rapeseed fields bow low for 10 miles. The swordsmanship favor buff will elevate Ji Ruo's comprehension of swordsmanship to its current full tier, as he currently possesses the buff at the initial comprehension stage. He could theoretically master any sword technique at that level in a remarkably short time. Such power is undeniable. Moreover, this capability, devoid of specific proficiency yet merely indicating a stage, should also see a corresponding elevation upon upgrading. At that time, Ji Ruo's swordsmanship favor buff is likely to reach the stage of genuine mastery. Mastery in sword techniques allows for the use of sword energy, albeit with limited range and far less lethality than a true sword. Yet sword energy is still sword energy. What matters is the allure. Thus, Ji Ruo decides to upgrade. If one wields this staff in youth, the rapeseed fields bow low for 10 miles. Host, are you certain about upgrading this achievement? Please consider carefully. Ji Ruo. To be honest, the built-in voice package of this achievement system is somewhat problematic. Nevertheless, it is indeed quite useful. Confirmed. Upgrade opportunity consumed. 1. Designated upgrade for if one wields this staff in youth. The rapeseed fields bow low for 10 miles. Congratulations, host. Achievement upgrade successful. Swordsmanship achievement upgraded to weaponry achievement. Swordsmanship favor buff upgraded. Congratulations, host, for acquiring the buff. Dual mastery of sword and blade. Initial comprehension, Ji Ruo. He had anticipated an upgrade in buff tier, yet unexpectedly, the category of the achievement itself was upgraded. However, it seems quite favorable. Ji Ruo reclined on the ground, instinctively reaching for the hilt of the Miao knife at his back. This is the mountain of beasts, and even in sleep, one cannot relinquish their weapon. In an instant, countless insights into blade techniques surged forth. The Miao knife is a double-handed blade, slender and elongated, resembling young rice shoots. Hence its name. Ji Ruo realized that the techniques associated with this knife are remarkably swift. He recalled some unreasonable animations or films from his past life and endeavored to utilize the dual mastery of sword and blade buff to grasp them. Remarkably, Ji Ruo could achieve a general understanding of those techniques with just a slight recollection, showcasing his exceptional talent and insight, truly deserving of max. Ji Ruo reclined on the ground, suddenly inhaling deeply. His breath possessed a unique rhythm, with an exceptionally long intake. With each breath, it seemed as though currents of electricity coursed through his hair. Exhaling, Ji Ruo released a long breath, not yet employing any blade techniques. Yet merely attempting this allowed him to master a strikingly elegant technique that only existed in fantasy. Quite remarkable. Ji Ruo was pleased and ready to drift into slumber. Suddenly, a tremendous rumbling, an unprecedented earthquake, shook the ground. The earth trembled, boulders tumbled from the mountain's edge, a massive fissure opened in the ground. And ominous thunder roared in the sky, as if the heavens were collapsing. What on earth is happening? Ji Ruo sprang up in alarm. Classmates, Li Nan exclaimed in horror. Intending to gather a few students, yet Zhang Quan and Lu Neng, startled awake, rushed forward, crying out to cling to Li Nan. Teacher, save me. Ji Ruo and Liang Shixian found themselves separated from Li Nan and the others by the vast chasm. From the fissure, scorching red magma surged forth, mountains shifted, and the earth's veins twisted. A boulder plummeted towards Ji Ruo's head. Liang Shixian's first instinct upon standing was not to run towards Li Nan, but to rush towards Ji Ruo, shouting, "Ji Ruo, be careful! Classmate, Ji Ruo!" Li Nan cried out. Her agility activated as she dashed towards Ji Ruo, but she was hindered by the two enormous infants clinging to her. Before she could cross the fissure, the surrounding scenery began to move at a rapid pace, as if it were a slideshow. At this moment, the mountain of beasts appeared to possess a life of its own, violently shifting, with all areas descending into chaos at unimaginable speed and magnitude. When the group regained their senses, they had been forcibly separated, unaware of their whereabouts. Time slightly rewound. Just prior to Ji Ruo and the others being pursued by the nine-eyed demon spider swarm, Ji Ruo continuously employed absolute sense of direction to seek a safe route. At that time, the director of the education department was also searching in this direction. Ji Ruo believed that with repeated corrections of his absolute sense of direction, he could perfectly define a path to safety by averaging the results. However, in reality, absolute sense of direction currently had only a correction ratio of 5. If all directions were divided into 360, then Ji Ruo's correction effect was merely 18. Even if he made multiple correct in addition, the director discovered shallow depressions, resembling human footprints, at the edge of a nearby swamp. Had he arrived even a moment later, these impressions might have vanished. Closing his eyes in concentration, he sensed the surroundings, only to furrow his brow moments later. The trail had gone cold once more. Contemplating briefly, he acknowledged that formidable warriors possess an instinct. Yet this instinct is not necessarily attuned to tracking individuals. His fingertips grasped a piece of tattered school uniform fabric he had found earlier on his journey, honing his martial intuition to its utmost potential. Remarkably, a vague sensation began to stir within his heart. He sprinted forward. But if his targets were indeed Ji Ruo and her companions, he was heading in the wrong direction. Cursed frogs. They had slain the earth dragon themselves. Yet they pursued me relentlessly. A filthy white cat cautiously traversed the forest, teeth clenched in frustration. That sizable earth dragon could not possibly be consumed entirely. Could they not allow me to partake in a morsel? I wouldn't eat much. How infuriating. It meticulously discerned the scents wafting through the air, a faint, earthy bead of light flickering above its head. With each stride, it could leap 10 or even several dozen meters, altering its trajectory with every bound. Strangely, no matter from which angle it advanced, the general direction remained forward, as if the path ahead was perpetually aligning beneath its paws. The scent of the demonic creatures lingered in the air. Trolls, perhaps? Just right. The white cat's gaze turned cold. Devouring these trolls should afford me a bit more time to maneuver. Shortly after, it arrived at the troll's dwelling. Trolls are humanoid monstrosities, grotesque in appearance, possessing immense strength, yet lacking intellect. Generally, demonic beings possess diminished cognitive faculties and tend to be social. At that moment, the trolls appeared to be reveling in a raucous celebration. Just as the white cat prepared to strike, it suddenly caught a whiff of an unusual metallic scent in the air. It was not that the scent was particularly strange, but rather that it felt unfamiliar. Observing intently, it soon discerned that the trolls were encircling a feeble, dying creature. A human? It paused momentarily, pondering. Although it had little experience with humans, engaging with them seemed significantly safer compared to the peril it currently faced. While it had never interacted closely with humans, it had heard tales of their ability to traverse dimensions and escape secret realms. Though the white cat possessed the moonlight mirror, it was gravely injured at present and lacked sufficient strength to activate it. Cooperating with a human felt akin to bargaining with a tiger for its skin. Yet it found itself with no other options. Time was running out. Moreover, the human was on the brink of death. And it was said that humans are grateful for acts of kindness. Trading a life-saving favor for their own survival seemed quite reasonable. It decided to take a gamble. The white cat deliberated, weighing the pros and cons, and ultimately gritted its teeth, activating its innate ability to draw all the reveling trolls into an illusion. In an instant, hundreds of trolls froze in place. Gasping for breath, the white cat felt the sourness of troll flesh. It had no desire to consume them unless absolutely necessary. After catching its breath, the white cat entered the troll's lair. The human was suspended on a long pole at the center of the tribe, one leg and one arm missing. And a gaping wound in its chest revealed a heartbeat that faintly pulsed, with one lung already absent. The white cat frowned. This human was nearly beyond saving. Were it not for the human's formidable warrior constitution, such grievous injuries would have surely resulted in death long ago. Human, the white cat softly called, willing to expend its limited demonic energy to barely sustain the male human's life. The dying warrior managed to open his eyes, uttering words, "Demon, I wish to propose a trade." The white cat replied slowly, "We, warriors, have little in common with you demons." The severely weakened warrior spoke with great effort, relying on the white cat's demonic energy to maintain his voice. The white cat furrowed its brow but did not relent. "You might consider my terms first. Human, your current condition is dire, sustained solely by my demonic energy. I can help you escape this place, and in exchange, I wish for you to take me with you when you leave the Beast Mountain." The warrior hesitated, his injuries rendering him incapable of rational thought. "Where do you wish to go?" "Anywhere but the Beast Mountain will suffice," the white cat replied. "I know you humans possess means of exiting secret realms. I simply wish to leave here." "I will not trade with demons," he retorted. "You may as well resign yourself to death." The white cat frowned once more, stepping closer to the wounded warrior, gazing up at him. "Currently, my demonic energy is sustaining your life. If we act swiftly, your kind should possess means to heal your wounds. Do you not desire to survive?" "I would rather die than trade with demons," the white cat insisted. "I merely wish to depart from the Beast Mountain, not encroach upon human lands. Demon words are not to be trusted." "You." The white cat felt a surge of anger. It had never spoken a lie. Did he intend to perish here, to be devoured by those grotesque trolls? The warrior raised his head slightly, his blurred vision catching sight of the hundreds of trolls frozen in their bizarre poses, and a flicker of alarm sparked within him. This was a powerful demon. "By your appearance, you should be considered youthful among humans. Do you not find it a pity to die so soon? You possess a vast future ahead. All it requires is your agreement to take me with you, and I can save you. Think carefully. Are there important matters left unfinished?" The white cat pressed. "Once dead, you will be incapable of accomplishing anything." The white cat, in its desire to avoid death, sought to negotiate with this human. The warrior, in a daze, murmured weakly, finally recalling that he indeed had an important task left incomplete. "I can agree to your terms." The white cat, elated, exclaimed, "Really? I will rescue you immediately. And I can also help you exact revenge." With that, it lightly stomped its paw, and the yellow bead above its head flared with light, summoning a surge of earth that buried all the trolls in an instant. "No, do not save me," the warrior panted. "Help me spread the word of the incident during the martial examination. At the foot of the Beast Mountain, in the territories controlled by humans, geological disturbances have caused chaos. I may not need to leave. You must use my secret realm wristwatch to relay this message." His consciousness began to fade. Even with the white cat's demonic energy sustaining him, he could barely hold on. The wristwatch, however, lacked any active teleportation function. The warrior had simply lost clarity of thought. The white cat paused, perplexed. "The foot of the mountain? I have never manipulated the earth's veins there. How could this be?" It recalled that the dragon pearl, capable of controlling the earth's movements in the Beast Mountain, was in its possession. Logically, it should be the sole entity able to manipulate the mountain's veins. Yet it had indeed never controlled the veins at the foot of the mountain, though numerous demonic beasts resided at the mountain's base. Their levels were too low and their bloodlines too mixed to be of any benefit to it. Moreover, with its current demonic energy, venturing to the foot of the mountain would render its presence conspicuously obvious amidst the dense demonic aura. It was no fool to squander its scarce energy on manipulating the veins there. Throughout its flight, it had remained on the mountainside, evading the pursuit of formidable demons. How could there be changes at the foot of the mountain? The white cat was bewildered, its feline features reflecting human-like confusion. This was its first time using the dragon pearl, and it was uncertain whether the disturbances at the mountain's base were connected to it. The warrior seemed not to hear the white cat's words. "There is no time. 1 second too late, and countless children will perish. My life is of no consequence." The white cat stared at the human warrior, its expression unusually complex. "I can assist you. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me the method of using the wristwatch." The white cat approached, listening as the warrior struggled to explain the usage of the wristwatch. However, as he was on the brink of death, the instructions he provided were, in fact, incorrect. Soon after, the warrior breathed his last. "I promise you, This news will surely be conveyed, the white cat murmured, using its limited demonic energy to gently lay the warrior's lifeless body on the ground. It was truly strange that there existed human beings unafraid of death. It mused to itself, feeling a slight sense of admiration as it crouched before the warrior, preparing to activate the wristwatch. Just then, a furious roar erupted from behind the white cat. "Damn demon! What have you done to that child?" It was none other than the director of the education department, who had sensed the presence of humans and rushed over. Upon arrival, he beheld the white cat crouched before the deceased warrior, whose body was in a state of disarray. With the director's keen eyesight, he could see the irregular bite marks on the warrior's corpse from a distance. The white cat was curiously fiddling with the wristwatch that the warrior had gifted it before his demise, having never encountered such a technological artifact before. The white cat was facing away from the director, who, upon noticing the cat's movements, assumed it was devouring the human and was instantly engulfed in rage. "How dare you consume a human? Die!" The director, filled with fury, unleashed a powerful strike from afar. "I am not." The white cat was alarmed and quickly dodged. However, the center of the massive palm suddenly emitted a powerful suction force, and the white cat was caught off guard, struck squarely. Fortunately, as a demon with tough skin and flesh, and not an ordinary creature, it was not killed by the blow. Instead, it was violently sent flying, crashing into the distant ground and spewing blood. "I made a deal with him. I did not kill him," the white cat shouted in anger. The director let out a cold laugh. "Quite resilient. Do you think I would believe your nonsense? Die." He had sensed that this cat demon was no ordinary foe and unleashed all his strength, aiming for a lethal blow. "I never lie." The white cat was furious, its anger not stemming from the director's sudden attack. However, it was already injured, and the attack from the director exacerbated its wounds. "How dare you tarnish the cat's innocence?" The white cat wanted to retort, but upon witnessing the director preparing to strike again, this time with even greater force, it dared not utter another word. The glowing yellow orb above its head radiated brilliance, shrinking in size by nearly a third. The earth trembled, and mountains shifted. "Demon, do not flee." The director transformed into a